All right, right now we are going to answer the most asked question that I get. How do I stop slicing my driver? So I'm going to break this down into the simplest methods that I can. I'm going to talk about it from two different perspectives, the athletic and the non-athletic perspective. And you're like, well, why are you breaking it down that way, Dave? Well, you see, athletic people have a way of making their body move in different directions at will, whereas people who are a little less athletic need a bit more explanation, and that's perfectly fine, and we're going to give it to you. So here's the absolute basics of hitting a slice with your driver. If the ball's going to the right, or if you're left-handed and the ball's going to the left, you are applying side spin to the ball. Simple as that. That is the simplest explanation. It's this right here. If I apply left to right side spin to the ball, it's gonna slice. Okay, and that's what we want to fix. We want to figure out how in our own game we can make that not happen. Okay, so we're going to dive into a few different things, and I'm going to give you some very practical and very simple things in order to fix this problem. Now, step number one. If my driver face is pointed to the right at impact, the ball is going to start to the right. If the club face is pointed left at impact, the ball is going to start to the left. If my club path is moving this way, it's going to spin from left to right. If it's moving this way, it's going to spin from right to left. Now, with those extreme basics in mind, where your club face is pointing at impact, and film a shot of yours, okay? Because it's a different problem if your ball starts to the left and slices versus if your ball starts to the right and slices. If it starts to the right and slices, the fix is easier than if it starts to the left and slices. So your club face is going to tell you where it starts to begin with. Then the side spin is the club movement in relation to your face angle. Okay, so if the ball's starting to the left and it's spinning from left to right, that means that the club face is pointed to the left and that the path from right to left is going even more to the left. If the ball is starting to the right, club face pointed to the right, it might be that your swing is perfectly on plane and there's a subtle change, a subtle difference that needs to happen. So that's the first thing that you want to figure out for yourself is where is that ball going? So we're going to start with the simple one. If I hit this ball and I hit it relatively straight, okay, and I take the same swing again with the club face pointed to the right. That one starts right and spins right. But my club path was perfect. It was straight. Fantastic. For those of you that have that problem, I have great news for you. Here is your fix. Ready? You just do the exact opposite of what I did to cause the problem. Okay? You put your club out like this. You let go with your grip. You spin the club to the left and you regrip, and then you swing again. And if it goes straight, fantastic. I want you to keep going. Spin it more to the left until you can get this shot. That's one that now spins from right to left. That means you've gone too far with the correction. Okay, and then for the next one, just start moving it back to the center. Okay, so it's just, if your ball's starting right and going right, that means that a simple club face adjustment is going to fix a lot of your problem. Always start with the simplest solution and then go more complicated from there. Okay, so keep turning that club to the left until such a time as the ball is going to spin from right to left. Next, we're going to dive into the more difficult problem, the ball that starts left and then goes right. Okay, so now for those of you who are starting the ball left and spinning the ball right. Now, if that first adjustment in the first video didn't do anything for you, and it's starting right and spinning right, then move into this video as well and start working on these things. The problem you're having is that the club face and club path are both going to the left this way, okay? Now there's a setup issue that we need to address, and then there's a club path issue that we need to address, and I'm going to show you step by step how we're going to get there, okay? So here's the first thing to check. Number one, shoulders. For so many slices that I see come through my inbox, when you set up with your driver, your shoulders are often turned that way, to the left. And I understand it, because what happens is you think, okay, ball has to go forward in my stance, which is correct, fantastic. But in order to get there, so many of you are turning your shoulders to the left. Okay, and as you turn your shoulders to the left, let me show you what happens. A big old banana slice. We like bananas, especially with crunchy peanut butter, but we do not like that kind of banana slice. Okay? So if your shoulders are pointed to the left, what happens is your whole upper body is confused. It's saying, my eyes say straight, my lower body says straight, my shoulders say left. And that causes everything to move to the left. Okay? So the first thing to do is to turn these shoulders straight to the ball. How we do it, we stand straight forward, put our hands straight forward, out to the side with our arms, straight down, and now we are straight to the ball, okay? But the ball's still forward in our stance, okay? So we can do that now here with the club, come straight down, and how we get to the ball isn't by turning our shoulders, but by tilting this way, okay? So if the club's here, if I tilt, see how the club moves back and forth as I tilt, but don't move anything else? So we're straight on, and we want to tilt to the ball. We want to make sure that our shoulders are pointed the same direction as our hips, as our feet. Point number 2, make sure that your lead forearm is above your trail forearm. So your front forearm is higher than your lower forearm. Sorry, your front forearm is higher than your rear forearm. Okay, so you can do that by having this up here and coming in from your right, or you can hold the club like this and then tilt this way, okay, and that's bending your right elbow down a little bit. Okay, that little adjustment there is going to encourage those shoulders being nice and square to the target. If I go from that open shoulder position to square, tilt, and make sure that this one is underneath this one, okay, and I take a swing, I'm going to get a much straighter shot. So those little setup issues need to happen right away. And if that fixes it for you, fantastic, run with it. If it doesn't fix it for you, start working on this right here. When you find your impact position, where you actually want to be with your body when you hit the ball, you do it like this. Nice and square. You take your stance, you tilt to the ball. Now, if I was to take my club and move it back just behind my trail foot there, like so, then I was to straighten this leg, keep this one bent, and turn the whole unit back this way, okay, like that, that's going to be my impact position. When you find that, here's the drill that you do. Go back, tilt into the ball, and I want to do this shot right here. Okay, short, simple. You can do this with a ping pong ball in your living room. But the result that we are looking for is twofold. We want the ball to go straight without spinning to the right, and we want to feel in our hands like there's no manipulation going on. So it's not going like this through the ball. Okay, we don't want that. We want just turning, keeping everything together this way. Okay, and that action right there is going to help you figure out where your impact position is. So, driver back there, find our impact position, hit that shot. Then we do it again. Okay, happy with those, nice and straight. Once we can get those straight, then we can start adding speed. And that's all golf is finding our impact position and then adding speed to it. Okay? So we're back there, find our impact position. Now we're going to come a little further back, and we're going to focus on straightening that lead leg as we turn. Doesn't require flexibility, just requires turning that. Okay? And we get a longer straight shot. Next thing we're going to work on is more speed. Same thing. And then we're going to work on more speed. Okay? All of those heading in a straight direction. Adding more speed and more speed and more speed. And as you add 10% and 10% and 10% and get closer and closer to a full swing, you may find that you have some kind of a problem area. Like this. If I get back to 3/4, okay, and I go and hit it out to the right, then I know there's a problem there. This is the biggest problem that people have when they get to this part. And now for the biggest problem that people have when they get to this section, okay, is going here. That's body or hips forward instead of turning. Okay? Good, bad. Okay, also known as the humping motion. We don't want the humping motion. And so here's the drill we do when we're in this position. Once we get back to 3/4, you want to work on bending everything down. Justin Rose says that he likes to feel his chest coming down this way. Okay? That's one feel. Another feel is to your hips tilting backwards this way. Different people have different feels. Okay? The idea though is that you're creating space for your hands and elbows to come by your hips. If my hips are in the way, I can't come by. I have to come across the ball and continue to slice it. Okay? And so leave yourself lots of space here so that you can get your arms and hands in front of your body without having to push them out this way. Okay, this is the bad way. Okay, you see how this all comes forward. Instead, we want to leave lots of space there. We're finding our impact position. Lots of space in between our hands and our hips. Okay, now that you have the basics of what you need to do within your swing, here's the full swing drill that I want you guys to work on a regular basis. Do your full swing at all different speeds. This would be one speed. Okay, the speed that we're most used to is this one. That would be full speed. This would be 75% speed. This would be half speed. This would be 25% speed. Okay, and by going through that motion quickly, by going through it slowly, is going to give you the different feel of what's happening in your swing. And every time that you do that, I want you to take note of where the club hits the ball and where the ball spins left to right or right to left. The level up version of this drill is to take it back to the top and stop and then swing. All of these different timings or speeds is going to help you get the club face square at impact. So that when you get to your full swing, you know exactly how your driver swing feels when you allow your hands past your hips. It all comes down to side spin. Side spin left to right or side spin right to left. When you start to understand that and feel that in your own swing, you'll be able to apply it yourself. Now, in the beginning, I said it was broken up between athletic and non-athletic. If I was talking to an athletic person, what I would say is, please make sure that you spin this ball from right to left. Right from the start. Can you spin this one any way from right to left? And if you can do that, then you can jump through a lot of these other instructions and feel your way to spinning the ball from right to left or from left to right at will. And that, my friend, is called shaping the ball. Now, if you have any troubles through this, or you're stuck or struggling at a point, please reach out. This is the most annoying problem in golf in trying to get the ball into the fairway. and hitting one of those. And then hitting a house or a dog or a pool and losing that lovely Pro V. Instead, you want to hit these. So let's get to work, go back through it. If you have any questions, reach out. Happy golfing.